We're back for another kitchen edition of the Premier League verdict, and you may be asking why. No, it's not because we have a cat, and no, it's not so I have quick and easy access to the teapot. That's definitely not it. Hello guys, how are you getting on? My name is Aaron Kelly and welcome back to another episode of the Premier League Verdict. I hope you guys have had a good day. Before we get into anything, I'd love to ask you, if you're not already, please do subscribe to the Aaron Kelly channel. We're aiming for 1k subscribers before the end of 2022. It's going to be a tall order. I feel it is going to be a big year for the channel. Alright, I'm putting everything I have into the channel this year, and I'm looking to make the best content for you guys that I possibly can. We've got the verdict coming out now, obviously, as you're watching this on 6 PM on Tuesday evening. And we've also got the February recreations coming out this week as well. Myself and Grievach went out and recorded that, so you know the boys are back, and it's an absolute banger. Let's get into our boxes then. We'll waste no further time. Starting off with our green box, and obviously the big talking point from this weekend's Premier League fixtures is the fact that the Manchester derby occurred, and Manchester City absolutely battered Manchester United. Now, I was, a little bit torn on who was going to go in what box this week, because I was strongly considering for the longest time having Man United in the stinker box, particularly for their second half performance. And that's, I think, the biggest problem that most United fans seem to have with the game against Manchester City at the weekend, was the way the team sort of gave up, especially once that first Mahrez goal went in. Manchester City's third of the game. Manchester City, don't get me wrong, were great, and I'm going to stick them in the green box, but Man United were just bad. I don't even think Manchester City had to be at their best. I think if Manchester City had brought their finishing boots, we could have been looking at another 6-1. There was that much of a gulfing class between the two sides. And I will admit, first half United looked decent in periods. I will say that they looked a little bit brave on the ball at times. I thought the goal they got, the Jadon Sancho goal, was a beautiful example of how to counter-attack against Manchester City. Not great defending from either Walker or Rodri, really, but still really good decoy run from Bruno Fernandes and a great finish by Jadon Sancho. It's just too bad that their midfield and defence are fucking shit, and they let them down time and time again. De Bruyne on the score sheet twice, as was Riyad Mahrez. Manchester City has something like 92% possession in the last 15 minutes of the game. In a Manchester derby, I think that's definitely comes down to a question of the mentality of the United players, where they're at, where their priorities lie. I mean, clearly they're not a team that actually give a shit about the club. If you did give a shit about the club, it's a Manchester derby. You would be running, tackling, hassling right up until the final whistle. And honestly, it was a really, really sad watch from them. Not quite on the same level as the Liverpool game back in October, November, the 5-0, but it wasn't too far off that, because it just really did highlight the massive gulfing class between Manchester United and Manchester City. Obviously, there was a lot of talks before the game about Ronaldo not playing. Was he faking an injury? I'm not too sure how much I believe that. The same goes for Cavani. They were talking about him not wanting to play as well because he was dropped, or has been dropped for the last couple of weeks. And I think it's a testament to the people who said that Ronaldo makes United a worse team. I was possibly one of them at one point, saying he's maybe not contributing enough to the overall game. Obviously, he's scoring important goals here and there for United, but overall, you probably want a team and players that are being given the chance to progress naturally through the team. And I thought Ronaldo might have been halting that a little bit. However, we just seen the full throttle of how shockingly bad Manchester United are without Cristiano Ronaldo. They were absolutely awful. Very close to going in the stinker box. I'm talking about them as if they have got in the stinker box. And a lot of people can blame Ralf Rangnick as well. I mean, he made one or two dodgy decisions substitution-wise. I think bringing off Paul Pogba near enough to the beginning of the second half was a bit of a strange one. He didn't look like he had an injury, but the people who come on, Lingard and Rashford, offered absolutely nothing in an attacking sense, and being brave on the ball. Manchester United showed nothing of the sort in that second half. But Manchester City absolutely dominant. They opened up the gap back to 6 points at the top of the Premier League after Liverpool's win over West Ham the day before. And realistically, between now and the end of the season, we are definitely just going to see a case of Manchester City and Liverpool trying to match each other stride for stride, and Liverpool have to just keep up that fight, need to keep winning football matches, because as soon as you slip up, we know how ruthless and brilliant this Manchester City team is. They'll be just right behind you, ready to pounce. Yellow box for the week, and this was a moment that really did make me go, Wow. I put up a poll on Instagram last night actually asking people who should go in what box for this week, and I actually got 1 or 2 responses telling me that Arsenal should go in the green box this week. And I will give credit to Arsenal where it's due. I think they scored some unbelievable goals in their 3-2 win against Watford. It was quite nervy towards the end. Obviously, they grabbed that late goal through Sissoko. The yellow box this week, though, I'm going to give to Cucho Hernandez. Despite the fact that Watford are shit and Watford are pretty much relegated, Cucho Hernandez produced one of the goals of the season to equalise after Martin Odegaard's opener. A cross in from the right-hand side. Cucho Hernandez, it kind of did remind me of Ronaldo's bicycle against Juventus that time, and I think in his last season, just how high Cucho Hernandez jumps for this bicycle kick. It was an absolutely stunning goal, and one for the March recreations. Obviously February, as I mentioned, coming out later on this week. But honestly, what a finish by Cucho Hernandez. And he's a player that we know has quality, but you know, similar to the likes of João Pedro, Emmanuel Dennis, they've only really been able to show it in fits and starts, in sparks here and there throughout the season, because Watford's overall structure is just shit. But that was an absolutely stunning goal. But Arsenal were excellent as well, I will say. Maybe a little bit sus defensively, particularly on that Moussa Sissoko goal. Ben White didn't exactly cover himself in £50 million glory. But 3 wonderful goals, and I think my pick of the bunch has to be Gabriel Martinelli's goal to make it 3-1. That goal was, I mean, it started from Arteta actually collecting the ball from the throw-in, giving it to Cedric or someone, finds its way into Lacazette, lovely first touch, and Martinelli buries it past the cycling GK Ben Foster to make it 3-1 at the time. 3-2 is how it finished, but Cucho Hernandez, I mean, I tip my hat to it. What a strike. Alright, stinker of the week. And I was going to give this to Manchester United, as I mentioned, because they were, you know, laughable and shameful really in that second half, especially towards the end of that second half against Manchester City. But oh my god, Everton somehow managed to take the cake. I talked about Everton last week on The Verdict, talking about how unlucky they were against Manchester City and how refereeing decisions ultimately cost them in that game, and one big one obviously being the Rodri decision. But last night, Monday Night Football, they lost 5-0. 5-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, who does that? I mean, I know Man United lost 6-1 to them a couple of seasons ago now. Was it last season? I'm not too sure. The last 2 years has all just been a bit of a mash-up and a blur. So I don't know when stuff happened now at this stage. But my God, Everton were bad. And like their defence, Jamie Carragher described it as a championship level defence, and I'd have to kind of agree with that, particularly last night. I mean, Seamus Coleman, I've always loved Seamus Coleman. I think he's been a terrific Irish captain, and he's been one of our best players over the last number of years. He's probably slowing up a little bit now, unfortunately. He got the absolute runaround last night. Centre backs wise, you've got Michael Keane and you've got Mason Holgate last night, both of which were shocking. Michael Keane absolutely buried one into his own top corner, Jeremy Swaz-Lynch style into his top. I mean, what a strike it was, I have to say. If he had tried to finish the ball like that, I don't think he would have done, Michael Keane, and that's the funniest thing about it. Their midfield just got completely outrun, outfought, outthought. I mean, Jordan Pickford was shocking as well for some of them goals. I think it was Son's goal. I mean, not great at all. Just looking at Everton's next couple of games then, and they've got Wolves and Newcastle at home in their next 2 games, which Frank Lampard said after the game how much he's looking forward to them and how much he does think that they can get something from those games. I think if Everton come out of that game with, I mean, anything less than 4 points realistically, I think they're looking in trouble, especially when you look at, you know, the teams that still have to play. West Ham coming up, they have Manchester United still to play, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, all still have to play Everton, and they have to make them home games count, especially the next 2. And of course, obviously, they've got a couple of games that still have to be decided. Obviously, games that were cancelled over the Christmas there. They've got Burnley still to play. That could be a huge game in terms of relegation fight, but it's really bad. And the performance last night was, I think, one of the worst Everton performances I think I've ever seen. It's up there, and it was the first time really I thought to myself, this looks like a team that could genuinely go down. It's the first time I think I've ever thought those thoughts about an Everton team in my many years of watching football now at this stage. I think Everton they've had poor teams down the years, like absolutely, but I don't think they've had a team this bad in my lifetime. They're just so completely unorganised, not functional. I feel kind of sorry for Frank Lampard because he has been massively thrown into the deep end there, and I know Frank backs himself to get Everton out of this shit situation. He'll always back himself, of course, but it's going to be one hell of a tough job for him, and I'm not sure he has the minerals to do it. I think it might be one job too much for him. If Everton do get relegated, can you see Frank Lampard being the manager there next season? I honestly don't know. It's a tough one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, lads. That is where we're going to wrap it up for today. If you have any other objections onto who should have got into what box for this week, please do let me know in the comment section down below as well. I appreciate every single comment that I get. Leave a like on the video as well if you did enjoy it. It helps me out massively, I'm being led to believe. And also subscribe, that would help me out even more. And we'll see you next time. Good luck.